I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Yo, what's good, everybody? You are now listening to another episode of the Man Listen Show. But before we get started, let's hear a few words from our sponsors.
DD's adding that flavor to your function. DD's daiquiri. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Flavor to your function. DD's daiquiri. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Good people, good vibe, one drink. Wanna kick back, wanna just vibe. Wanna kick back. Let me first slide to the drink store. Let me just buy DD drink mixes, all of them fire. Fill me up a case, I'm finna drop bread. Marvelous mango, classic and red. Took them to the party, these folks won't leave me alone. They wanting me to share, they better get their own. DD's adding that flavor to your function. DD's daiquiri. Good vibe, one drink at a time. Good vibe, one drink at a time.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow us on YouTube. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you share the show. Go to our website, www.manlistenshow.com. Make sure you let everybody know about the website. You can listen to our current episode. You can listen to our past episodes. Make sure you share with everybody you know and let everybody know about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. I'm your host, Mark B. Let's bring the crew in. All right, y'all good? What's up with it?
What's up?
Live on Facebook. I couldn't change it up. Yeah, but you know, it could have been worse. I could be Juwan Howard. Did y'all see the skirmish that happened of the Michigan-Wisconsin game over the weekend?
Yeah, several times. I watched it a few times.
So for those who don't know, our brother Juwan Howard. Most of us know Juwan Howard. I mean, we're all in the same age group. He played for Michigan for the Fab Five. And, you know, he was one of the integral players on that squad, him and Chris Webber, Jalen Rose as well. But Juwan had a pretty good career in the NBA, and now he is coaching back at his alma mater. Well, I'm assuming his alma mater. I don't know if he graduated or not, but he's back at his alma mater. He's coaching young men, and Juwan and them were playing Wisconsin, and Wisconsin put it on him. And I guess, you know, Juwan didn't like the Wisconsin coach calling a timeout. Well, when they were up pretty big towards the end of the game. So as they were doing the normal handshake, you know, normally the players do the handshake line. Sometimes the coach do it as well. Juwan wanted to tell the opposing coach that he was going to remember that, you know what. And the coach put his hands on Juwan, kind of stopped and impeded his path. And then, you know, some more words were exchanged. And then pretty soon the players and other assistant coaches got involved. And then Juwan reached out and open hand smacked one of the assistant coaches. So people knew that he was going to be punished for that. I mean, I saw a lot of people saying, hey, you know, he's going to get fired. He's fired. He's done. What ended up happening was he ended up receiving a 5-game suspension, also a $40,000 fine. The head coach from Wisconsin received a $10,000 fine, and nothing else happened to anybody else. I don't think any of the players received any punishment, or none of the assistant coaches. But, you know, there's a lot of debate, and we'll go into it in terms of, you know, a Black coach. Should he have done that? Should he have responded differently? Do we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard? I mean, I saw a lot of different talk about this. So we're just going to talk about that, talk about some other stuff on the show. So, see, go ahead and start with you, because, you know, you one of our resident sports analysts. You know, Brother Lab couldn't be on the show tonight. So, see, we'll start with you. What did you think when you first saw this?
So I didn't think he was going to get fired over it, but I kind of So, I mean, I'm not excusing his behavior, but when another man puts their hands on another grown man, like you can't decide how it's going to end. I believe where Juwan went wrong was that he didn't act initially. As soon as that man put his hands in his chest, if he would have slapped his hands off or shoved him back or did something immediately, then he probably wouldn't have had such a big fine or probably wouldn't even be suspended. Where he went wrong was he stepped back, had a whole argument, everybody else got involved, and then he swung and could have potentially started a whole brawl. So yeah, that's my thing. If you're gonna react, you gotta do it initially. You can't, wait 5 minutes and then go upside somebody's head.
Yeah, I think that he probably should have, like you said, responded immediately. I don't think that he should have lost his cool and hit the assistant coach, because what he did was he then put his players in a bad situation.
Yeah.
Because automatically, if your coach is involved in a skirmish, most players, unless they have beef with the coach, they feel some sort of devotion to that coach. So they're going to ride for their coach. They're already young men, full of testosterone, competitive game. They just got blew out. So coach is about to squab, we squabbing too. So
Yeah.
it really could have turned into more of a more ugly situation. But I'm glad it didn't. I'm really glad that the players didn't get any type of punishment, because I saw some of them throwing some punches. I saw some of them pushing or whatever, and it definitely could have went that way. But I also knew that there was no way that you could really punish a player for something that the coaches started. Maybe if they had went into the stands or something different, but I think the punishment was befitting. I think it was harsh, but it definitely, they had to send a message to him, because this isn't the first time he's let his temper get the best of him. He's had shouting matches with like other coaches when they've lost or whatever. So, I mean, I'm a supporter of Juwan, but I think he has to remember that he's leading young men and that you have to hold yourself to a higher standard. Now, I've coached, definitely not on the level of Juwan Howard, but I've coached, AAU basketball, different sports, and yeah, coaches get into it. They talk trash because it is competitive. But when you are on national TV, I still support Juwan, but I would like to him. I think if he could do it, he would go back and do something different. So, Rika, what you think?
And I watched the video, and I think even with my temper, like C said, once you're out of the situation in a professional setting, you just got to do things differently. I mean, people piss me off in court all the time, going around smacking everybody that says something out of the way. I probably wouldn't have a license very long, but I get it. I get it, especially when somebody touches you, that changes the game. I mean, you think about how you would react in that situation, but a lot of times you really don't know what you would do until you are in that situation. So I think the fine is definitely appropriate, because like you said, it really wasn't necessarily that those two got into it, is that he kept it going and kept escalating the situation until it became a whole team versus team type brawl. And I think that's the real problem, is that he kind of, incited something that really didn't have to be that way. Because if he'd either just, brushed dude off the way or just walked away when he was, first had the opportunity, then all of that really wouldn't have happened. But, got to be careful who you put your hands on.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. People were like, well, his response wasn't congruent with, what the Wisconsin coach did. It was disproportionate. But my thing is, you can't determine how I'm going to respond to you putting your hands on me. You can't determine that. And I agree with C. He probably should have just handled old dude right then and there, but it still would have been the same result in terms of putting his players in a situation that they didn't need to be in. They didn't need to be in at all. What I didn't like, though, because I feel as if the assistant coach, because if you watch the film, the assistant coaches came in from Wisconsin and they didn't try to pull their head coach back, or, most of the time when a skirmish happens, you'll see the assistant coaches on the team, the different player coaching personnel. Their job is to make sure, okay, if something happens, you all make sure none of our players run on the court. Because if a player leaves the bench and runs on the court, that's like automatic suspension. So coaches have contingency plans for this, because you'll see it when like a skirmish breaks out on the court. You'll see the coaches putting their hands out and making sure none of the players run the court. Because it's like a natural inclination. If you see when your teammates involved in something, you're going to go towards the action. As soon as you step your foot on the court, that's a suspension. So they normally are doing that. This is a different type of situation, but I saw the Wisconsin assistant coaches being more antagonistic than trying to de-escalate the situation, especially the coach that got hit upside his head, because it was obvious that he said something to Juwan that set him off, because you saw one of the Michigan players also standing there, and whatever he said, the Michigan player reacted to it too, and Juwan went off and hit him upside his head. So I was disappointed that he didn't get, any type of punishment as well.
I just said somebody got a $10,000 fine, but you mean a suspension?
That was the head coach.
Oh, okay. That
I
I
assistant
think
coach should
the
have got something.
assistant coach should have gotten something too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should. And the other thing that I didn't like is that, I know that he probably had to do it, but Juwan writing the apology, like him apologizing to the assistant coach or whatever. I'm sure the University of Michigan, probably said, hey, listen, you're going to write an apology. They probably had their damage control, their PR personnel probably write that letter for Juwan, and he put it out there. Like, don't get me wrong, I definitely feel like he probably regrets his actions, but if I was in his shoes, I'd be like, yeah, I'm sorry for what I did. I probably shouldn't have reacted that way, but I'm not apologizing to that coach that I hit upside his head, because I'm telling you, he said something, because you could see the way that player and Juwan responded. He had to have said something that made them respond in such a visceral way that I think that he should have got something as well. But I also, I saw a lot of people talking about we have to be twice as good, and Juwan can't do. I'm just like, man, that's that Negro gatekeeper talk that I really am tired of. You can't determine, like I said before, you can't determine how I respond to somebody else's actions towards me. That Wisconsin coach had no right to put his hands on Juwan. Now, if somebody said, hey, well, they was just talking, so Juwan, him hitting that coach, it wasn't responsible. Well, let's start from the jump. Juwan said some words, right? He was going to keep walking, but that Wisconsin coach stood in his way. There's a double standard, and I just am disappointed that so many Black people are on the side of, okay, now, Juwan, you can't do that. The only thing they didn't do was sound like a slave when they said it. Oh, Juwan, you can't be touching that white man like that. You can't
Typed
do that.
it like that though.
Yeah, so that's exactly how they was acting. Am I the only one that felt that way?
No. I think that the other part about that is this Karen mentality where they initiate these confrontations and then claim to be the victim. It's so annoying to watch it unfold, because it's like, you never would have even had an altercation if you'd have just minded your business and went on about your way. But now you're like, oh, I need an apology. An apology for what? That you started some mess and it came back on you. We've all been there before.
Yeah.
Only difference is when I start stuff, I can finish it.
You know what I call that? I call that white girl 101.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what he did. Like, he started to put his hands on him and then, get mad because they got hit upside the head.
Right, right. I call it white girl 101. So, yeah, I'm glad that Juwan didn't get, fired, because obviously his players care about him. I think that it'd have been a tragedy for us to lose a Black head coach. We always talk about the lack of Black head coaches. I don't think that's really as prevalent in men's college basketball. You see a lot more Black men on the coaching ranks when it comes to men's college basketball, and even the NBA as well. So normally that us not being in the coaching ranks is probably more towards the NFL, right? But still, when we talk about having a influential Black man in a position to guide young men and to change their lives, bring them into a elite school in this country, and to be able to lead them to change their lives, we need somebody like Juwan Howard. Now, I will say, Juwan, you do got to do better though. You got to do better with controlling your temper. So, yeah, but that's it. But speaking of controlling your temper, y'all's boy, Kanye. This dude, people keep making excuses for this man, but he, been on social media. We'll start with his social media rants about his soon-to-be ex-wife and her new boyfriend. I mean, he was posting all kinds of stuff on social media, talking about he was going to choke this dude out. Like he was posting like the Ving Rhames video where Ving Rhames was choking out Tyrese and Baby Boy. He was telling people like, this is what I'm gonna do to Pete Davidson and all this different stuff. And you know, Kim Kardashian was, you know, she was messaging him like, hey, listen, you're creating a situation that is dangerous. It could be dangerous for him. So Kanye tried to play it down, but it's just a messy situation that he has going on with his soon-to-be ex and him playing it out on social media, him talking about the kids, him not wanting his kids on social media. It's a mess. And I know that for a lot of women who I am friends with, they said it was triggering because they've been in that type of situation where they're trying to leave somebody, they're trying to move on from somebody, and that person basically is just doing everything they can to make their life hell, to get them to come back. So I really didn't take it that way because I didn't really look at it that way because, you know, that's maybe my privilege as a man, but I'm here with two women. What do y'all think?
That boy is crazy. And I haven't argued with people on the internet in a really long time. And this actually sucked me back in. I had to remind myself that I don't have the energy to be arguing with strangers that I'm never going to see in real life. I'm like, man, y'all be making me want to pull up. But it was something about Kanye started following Pete Davidson on Twitter or something. He was like, oh, looks like Kanye's waving the white flag. I was like, no, it looks like he's stalking them. He is bona fide crazy. And somebody was like, y'all always want to tear down the black man. What? This is one psycho who's earned our criticism of his behavior. Like, this is exactly how it starts. I've been in plenty restraining order hearings and listen to the stories that women have told about men, and it always starts with something that people are on the fence about. You know, oh, he just wants his family back. He doesn't want his. Anytime people say I want my family back, that's always a red flag to me anyway. No, you just miss waking up here and having somebody here next to you because you didn't want your family a while ago. And this isn't about specifically the woman. You're not necessarily saying I want my wife back, I want my marriage back. You're just like, I just want y'all to sit over here and be my family while I continue to go out here and be crazy and MAGA and all this other stuff. But I think he's escalating. And as soon as he moved next door to me, I'd have moved.
My thing is this, brother, C jump in. Sean King called it out good. You know, you quick to want to try to pull the black card and say all this mess, but you jumping from white girl to white girl. Like, dude, I mean, if you're going to be pro-black, be pro-black. You know, I know a lot of people don't like it when I say that, when they say, well, can you date outside your race or marry outside your race and still be pro-black? But don't try to pull the race card and act a damn fool and then try to say, okay, well, y'all need to support me. Support you for what, dude? Support you for what? So you can wear the MAGA hat again? He doubled down on that, you know. And like I said, he ain't that damn crazy. He ain't that damn crazy. He know what he's doing because, like, people try to give him an opportunity to say, did you make a mistake? Nah, he didn't make a mistake, and he knows exactly what he was doing. Now, I am not a big Kardashian fan at all. I'm not a Kardashian fan at all. But what I don't like is the example that it sets for other idiots that follow Kanye and how they can potentially use those tactics towards our sisters. That's what I don't like, and that's why I said we need to call that behavior out.
So a couple things with the situation. I'm not saying that you can't like leave somebody or outgrow something, but I think they both are today who they were when they got married. She's jumped from, you know, man to man, marriage to marriage. This is her fourth divorce. You know, he was starting to trail off to be mentally unstable long before she married him. So it's nothing new. So I'm just not, I don't know. And then I'm not, I guess I don't know what to say. I hate to make it seem like I'm making excuses for Kanye because he really is touched. The boy is special, but people don't look at what's going on around him. Like anytime when you end a relationship and you don't set boundaries from the beginning and end it completely, you keep going back and forth. It's really hard for that one person to understand that when you finally say it's over. I mean, it was just 2 months ago and she was showing up at all of his album releases or all his listening parties, you know, dressing all skimpy, trying to cock block everything that was coming in. And then all of a sudden, 2 months later, okay, now I'm done. I've moved on. And like I said, I'm not making excuses for him. She's more than welcome to move on with her life whenever she wants to, but don't act like you weren't just playing with this man's feelings 60 days ago. And then, you know, everybody's acting like, you know, Kanye's bullying Pete and he's doing this, and he really is. But just 2 weeks ago, you can look it up right now, Pete was on Saturday Night Live making Kanye jokes. So are you really scared of this man if you keep antagonizing him though? So I just feel like, you know, they're playing the victim a little bit. Again, Kanye's crazy, but I mean, you can't say I'm worried about somebody fighting me, but you steady, you know, talking, you know, noise, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I really don't care about Pete Davidson. I mean, I don't. I mean, I think it's kind of some
Or
sucker.
Kim.
I think it's some sucker. I think it's some sucker, you know what, for Kanye to be trying to fight this cat that, you know, is now with his soon to be ex. I mean, I feel him to a degree, because like, if you're gonna be with my old lady while we, you know, working through our divorce situation, you still need to be respectful, especially since she's gonna have you around my kids. So if you're gonna be around my kids, there needs to be some respect, you know, in play. And obviously, I don't know if it's just Kanye being hurt, but this dude making jokes. First of all, Kanye don't look like he can fight at all. I wouldn't be scared of Kanye at all. And I'm not no gangster tough guy or nothing, but I'm gonna tell you one dude who I'm not, who invokes no fear in my heart, it'd be Kanye West. And the other thing is, I feel you see when you talk about them going back and forth, because they've been in this whole type of divorce, you know, we on the outs for a while. And when I think it was the Met Gala, she showed up, you know, rocking his gear or what have you. Yeah, that's something. But I think if you're going through a divorce, some part of you may want it to still be amicable. You may still want to be like, well, I love this person at one time, so I still want to support them and make sure that, you know, whatever they do is successful. So maybe she was doing that. You know, maybe that was sending mixed signals toward this boy, because he is touched. But I can't condone, I can't go along with still giving him excuses. I mean, we've been giving him, well, some of y'all have been giving him excuses for the last 4 or 5 years. You know, ever since he put on the MAGA hat, people have been like, well, it's his mama, his mama, his mama, his mama. Listen, man, I lost my mama too. And yes, it affected me deeply. You know, the depression, everything. My mama was my best friend, just like, you know, obviously Kanye's mama was his best friend. You know, my mama was my mentor. She was everything to me. And yes, it affected me deeply. But I'm gonna tell you what I did not do. I didn't act like this boy did. This boy is doing. And I definitely didn't become a sellout. Now, did I misdirect my anger, my grief at other people? Yeah, I probably did. But it definitely didn't make me be a sellout like this dude. So I don't understand this excuse making that some people are continuing to make for this dude.
I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying there's other people who are at fault too. That's all I'm saying. He's the only one taking the heat. Like they didn't play a part in this.
Well, you know, and we're only seeing what he's sharing on social media. Like, he didn't start out with social media. He started with in-person confrontations and text messages and phone calls and stuff. So his crazy has been working its way up. So we can't necessarily say that they're not being respectful, because we don't know what all he said and done in face-to-face or in personal settings, because he might have lost that respect a long time ago, especially knowing how crazy he is. So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're, you know, not playing a part in it, but I'm done giving him passes. And this behavior to me is like not necessarily triggering, but yeah, if you've ever been in an abusive relationship, you know how it goes. And this is the exact direction that it goes. And man, my husband watches enough First 48 that I've seen how this story ends.
I mean, right. Yeah, because it's really no different. I mean, the only thing that makes this different is that Kanye is a billionaire.
Mm-hmm. Somebody said that this is exactly what would have happened if OJ had Twitter back in the day.
See, but OJ didn't do it though. You know, people keep trying to say OJ didn't do it.
I don't care about that either.
OJ, but yeah, OJ didn't do that. Now what OJ did do, he didn't learn his lesson by messing with the white folks the first time. So when he got off, you know what I'm saying? He should have just said, hey, I'm done with y'all. I'm gonna go back home, chill with AC and my first kids, and keep it good. But he still
Right.
wanted to play them away games, and then they got him and they put him away in jail. But I mean, but on a serious note, if this were take away their celebrity status, and I'm posing this to see, take away their celebrity status, and this was a female relative of yours, and her soon-to-be ex-husband or ex-boyfriend was harassing her and playing these type of games on social media. We both know that, because let me tell you something. Nobody knows how to push your buttons than somebody that you've been in a relationship with for a long ass time. Nobody knows how to push your buttons more than somebody that you have been in a relationship with. They know how to look at you, the right word to say. So it's on both sides. But if this was your family and some idiot doing this, you can't tell me, see, that you would be like, oh, well, there's blame on both sides. You can't say that. Okay.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that there's not blame on both sides in all aspects of it. I do think Kanye is wrong, and it is, the way his behavior is problematic and it's dangerous. But if it was my family member in certain situations, I would say the same thing. He's, I understand why he doesn't want his 8-year-old on TikTok, and then resharing the type of, stuff she's looking at. I totally understand that. But then again, he was bragging about how Kim, what did he say in the song? My girl got famous from her own video. He's worried about how her mom put out her video. Now he thinks Kim's going to put out his daughter's video. So I understand why he's paranoid, but at the same time, I mean, that's who you married. So, you should have thought about that before you decided to reproduce with her. So
Married and had
but
kids.
I mean, I'm not making excuses for Kanye. I'm just saying there's other people are to blame. But yeah, his behavior is problematic. I think buying a house next door was probably the strangest thing to me. Like, that was completely odd.
Sharing their text messages and then trying to have a debate with America about raising their child. All that stuff to me is crazy because he's trying to vilify her in the public's eye, not just as a person, but then on her parenting. And you can't co-parent successfully if you're doing that. Like, there's really no way to call me a bad mom and then sit down to the table with me and talk about raising these kids. Now, don't get me wrong. I agree that the baby shouldn't be on TikTok, but I mean, obviously they have different standards in their household. I thought it was hilarious when somebody was like, hey, North, let's play Cash App.
Hey, see,
take a picture of mommy's checkbook.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Before we go on, make sure y'all go to our website, www.manlistenshow.com. If you want to support the show, hit us up on our Cash App, $ Man Listen Show. Go to our YouTube, hit the subscribe button, thumbs up, leave comments, make sure let everybody know about our show. But see, that was the thing, because I think Cardi B, like her daughter with Offset, was on social media, or like she had like an IG account or something like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I know people who have IG accounts for their kids, right? And I think
that must be Cardi B has to be that. Her daughter's not old enough to really.
So I think she had she had an IG account, and I think it's probably just like maybe to share pictures or whatever, because these celebrities, they monetize everything. Remember we were talking about Jeezy and what's that girl's name? The Asian
Jeannie
girl.
Mai.
What's her name?
Jeannie Mai.
And people were talking about how her name changed to Jeannie Mae Jenkins. She married Jeezy. But see, they monetize everything, right? They monetize, we're going to reveal the baby's gender on our show. And so by them copyrighting their kids' names, getting their children like IG accounts or whatever, so they can share pictures and build up the celebrity status of the kids. I think Cardi B had that, and people were leaving like foul comments in the baby's comment section.
Yeah, they were.
Which I'll never understand. Like, I mean, there's some sick people in the world. Why would you want to do that to a baby? So exactly. I understand why Kanye is being protective of his child, and clearly the family that he married into, they don't have those type of boundaries, because that's what really got them to where they were at.
Yep.
They were rich white folks beforehand, but they like uber rich white folks now
Right.
because they put out the tape, right? And they continue just to allow people to invade their space, invade their lives, and that's how they do. But like C said, you chose to have a baby with her. So now you can fight for that. And you're right, C, to an extent when you talk about, man, that's the life you chose. But I still don't think that excuses you as a man for the actions that you were causing towards your wife and you know what she's trying to do to move on with her life. That's just that right there, I don't think is acceptable.
Yeah, I feel that. He's still crazy.
Oh, yeah. He's crazy, he's a sellout, he's all of that. Now, I know
Yeah.
you hear that, but he is.
And that concert I heard was kind of crazy too.
I just saw the clips of it. So I guess
Yeah.
it's Donda 2, right? So he came out with Donda, and I may have heard one song. I told you I'm done with Kanye. I'm over Kanye. He's still a dope producer. He's still, you know,
Talented.
I've seen like small clips of him like doing stuff, man. The boy is like a musical genius, right? He is. And it's a shame that he's such a sellout and so, you know, ignorant, because I just can't fool with his stuff anymore. But like he had like this concert release party for Donda 2. So I guess it's like the second album or whatever. And all I saw was him like walking on the stage, and like it was like his silhouette, and it had like water all over the stage, and he had midgets and all this type of stuff. And I don't get it, man. He's done transcended to like the weird stage where it's like, okay, bro, I'm glad I'm done because I don't get it. So was I the only one that saw that?
I didn't see it, but the clip I read was like the whole album is about his divorce and talking about Kim and the kids. And then they said something about his childhood home was a replica of his childhood home was on fire on the stage or something like that. I was like, this boy crazy. That's all I can say.
Don't get me wrong. When you're going through a divorce or a bad breakup, normally that can inspire you to make some dope music. Kanye's perfect example. When he broke up with Amber Rose, what's that tape? My Twisted Dark Fantasy, My Dark Twisted Fantasy. That right there wasn't just a classic, it was a masterpiece. It was a masterpiece. And that's probably where my, you know, fandom of Kanye West, that's where it stopped. Everything from the beginning to right there. That's where it's going to end. I don't know if like Watch the Throne and all that stuff came after that. So I'll throw Watch the Throne and all that in there too. I think that was after. Yeah, matter of fact, it was after that. So I'll add the Watch the Throne and all that stuff. But like in terms of like stuff that he's put out, I'm gonna start right there with that masterpiece right there. So like you can see a breakup can put out some classic music. Ask Mary J.
I was about to say that's when Mary makes that fire album.
Hey, why you playing? Mary got an album out right now, Good Morning Gorgeous, and it's fire. It is fire. I mean, y'all know I'm the biggest Mary J. Blige fan.
Yeah.
So you might fight me on that. Listen, I don't allow nobody in my presence to talk.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I don't allow nobody to talk about Mary J. in my presence, but I support everything she does. Music, TV show, Monet Tejada on Power. I'm all for it, but
but that's a difference though, right? Because they're channeling their pain and situation into their music. He's naming names. This is less Mary J and more Eminem killing Kim and throwing her in the trunk. Like this isn't
I agree with that one.
This isn't necessarily him taking
it's a little different
situation and handling it.
Yeah, that's true. I know, like with Marvin Gaye, he went through a divorce. He named the whole album called Here My Dear because his ex-wife was getting all of his money. I don't know if it was alimony or his royalties or whatever. So he made an album and it's called Here My Dear, is because he wasn't getting any money out the album. So, you know, this ain't the first time somebody has been through a celebrity breakup and it caused them to trip out. But I just think that where does it end? You know, I think that's the question. Like, where does it end with Kanye? Because if people continue to give him the out, you know, okay, well, mental health, mental health is real, y'all, and this, that, and the other. Okay, most people that are dealing with mental health, somebody has an intervention. Somehow, some way, you get some help. Maybe he is far past that because he is a billionaire. You know, maybe people can't, you know, maybe it'll take like a Jay-Z or a Dame Dash, somebody who has their own money and doesn't have to depend on Kanye to support their livelihood, because he's turning on everybody. Anybody that doesn't side, he didn't turn on what Kid Cudi, he turned on Big Sean. I mean, he didn't turn on a lot of people. So I mean, he's unpredictable, and it's a problem. So I mean, somebody needs to be able to intervene, and somebody that he respects. Maybe it's Jay, but it looks like, you know, Jay's kind of washed his hands of him because of what Kanye has done in the past. I don't know. What y'all think?
Well, I don't think Kanye should be the face for mental health either. Like, I mean, I think it's unfair to a lot of, there's a lot of people that deal with mental illness. I do think he is dealing with some mental issues, and it probably took a toll on him, but his mother's death. But these last few antics he did, I mean, I think that's just Kanye being Kanye. I think he's well aware of what he's doing. He doesn't want any help. And so I think that if we start saying like he's the face of mental health, especially when it comes to Black men, people are going to be looking for those crazy psychotic signs. And really, that's not always what mental health looks like. So I kind of wish, I mean, I do, like I said, I think he's not the only one to blame, but I don't agree with everybody saying, oh, he has mental health issues, we got to give him a pass, No, we don't. Like, you know, people with other mental health issues are able to function and are able to go to work, and, you know, they're not making threats, and they're not doing all kind of crazy stuff, wearing hats and then taking them back 2 years later. He's consciously making these decisions to do that. And so I just hate that. I just wanted to say that, just a disclaimer. Like, I don't want him to be the face for mental illness, especially when it comes to Black men.
He's more mental illness without personal accountability. He's not taking responsibility for any of his actions or how he's ended up in any of these situations. And to me, that's one of my biggest pet peeves about people, especially when you get to a certain age. It's like nobody falls into the situation they got into. Even if other people are doing you wrong or doing something else wrong, you still have full autonomy over your actions and your choices and how you respond to what other people are doing. So, I mean, it's definitely not, you know, something that we should be expecting from people with mental health issues. I mean, I agree about that. It's just something about him and him not taking responsibility for being crazy as hell.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I know he drinks alcohol, right? So is he on drugs too? Does he take the drugs? Wasn't he like at some point? I don't want to put something on him that's not true. So I'll just stay away from that. But I think that I think that there's a bit of mental health that he's dealing with. Number one, definitely grief. That's definitely there. And I can't remember how long ago it was when his mother passed away, but I know for certain for me, it took, you know, all of 10 years for me to finally, you know, get to a place where I was healed from that. If you lose a parent, it's not something that you heal from unless you do the work. Now, I try to manage it myself, right? But you got to do the work to heal yourself. And it's still, time is the ultimate, you know, factor in healing the loss of a parent. And I've lost both my parents. So I've definitely been there. But I feel like there's like more of a sense of entitlement to this dude. He's like a spoiled brat that if I don't get my way, because he's a spoiled brat, I think, because number one, he was a mama's boy, right? And number two, he's done transcended into this level of financial, this financial strata where, hey, I can do what I want to do. I can say what I want to say. You know why? Because I'm making money. You know, I think this album that he just released, he released it on like some platform. I should have had this prepared, but he didn't release it in the traditional fashion. He released it on a platform where people had to pay at least, I think, $100 to be able to get the album. So when you got, you know, all of his followers, I think if he made like 2 million, 22 million just off the list of the album, and that all went to him. It all went to him. So he's got a sound business mind. he's not all the way thrown off, but it's just some of the things that he's doing is detrimental, I think, to our community, because there's a lot of people who he's not wrong. You know, they siding with him and stuff that he's doing to this woman. And I think that's a problem, because they're going to see those actions and do the same stuff to their women. So I don't know. I think we talked about Kanye enough. I mean, he's definitely the most talked about person on the Man Listen show. So he's the gift that keeps on giving for this show. Hopefully we don't have to talk about him again, but something tells me that more than likely we will be talking about Kanye again on this show. So I'm hoping that our brother Juwan Howard, hope he can bounce back. He's got a 5-game suspension. Hopefully he can come back during the postseason, during the tournament. I don't know if they're going to make the big tournament or if they'll be NIT, but whatever they do, hopefully, you know, much success to him. Hopefully he bounces back and there's no long-term ramifications to his career because of the decisions that he makes. And hopefully Kanye decides to do better with, you know, the decisions he's making and how he's handling his divorce and his, you know, his family business and everything else. But I think we talked about it enough. Make sure y'all go to our website, www.manlistenshow.com. Go to our YouTube, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, let everybody know about the Blackest radio show in America, the Man Listen Show. Peace.
Peace.
Lab, what up, man?